As I was sitting at my girlfriend's dad's office, who I was working for at the time to make money, it was from Converse. It literally just said Josh Aikan summer Converse campaign, you know, with an X in the middle. We like love your stuff. We'd love to set up a call and chat about you possibly shooting like one of our campaigns for us this year. I was like, holy fuck, like that's huge. In the beginning, I literally said yes to like everything. You know what I mean? Like anything I could get my hands on, I was just like, I just want to shoot. I just want to like take photos, right? I would literally just say I need with NEED in like big caps, need to shoot for you, exclamation point, camera emoji. Boom. Sent that shit out. So many of those. To the point where Instagram like literally banned me from DMing people. That was one of the main reasons I like started shooting film. I would like go to photo shoots and I take a photo and I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick. And they're like, yeah, no, they're like, that's gonna be fire. I'm like, trust me, that's gonna be fire. I try to plan so that I can ditch the plan. It just kept fucking going for like 2 weeks. That video just kept going and it hit like 4 million views. Okay, I'm addicted. Like back addicted to social media.
Likes, followers,
love me. I need it.
You've never gotten a roll back though and it's just white?
Don't ever say that. You're never even supposed to bring that up.
Oh, my bad, dude, my bad.
Good thing this table's made
My
of
bad, dude.
mahogany.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the 505 podcast. Today, we're welcome with Josh Aikan, dude. Okay, Josh switched career paths to be a photographer way later than most people do. And I think it's amazing to see that he is at the top of his game, absolutely crushing these massive campaigns for brands like Tillys. He's doing stuff in Vogue. He's doing stuff in Times Square. I mean, it's truly incredible. And what does he shoot on?
He shoots on film.
Only film.
It's really crazy. So Josh is somebody that I've known for, I want to say like almost 6 years now, 6 or 7 years. He's a very close friend of mine. And when we first met, he was like just starting to do film photography and he was doing a ton of free shoots. And I slowly started to notice his progression. And I was like, all right, like he's getting better. And all of a sudden, like years have gone by and now he's just shooting these major campaigns. He brought me on. I recently shot BTS for a shoot that he was hired. It was for Thomas Rhett. He was shooting Thomas Rhett's, I believe, 7th studio album cover artwork.
Unreal.
And just like getting to see how he works, his process, his whole team. Like this episode was really special to me specifically because he's a close friend of mine, and to see his growth as a photographer has been incredible. And to like now have him in a place where we brought him on the podcast, it was beautiful. And this episode was awesome.
Let's get into it. Josh, give me the one-handed crack.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yep. That feels right.
Oh no. Oh God. Oh, you didn't give me enough. You didn't give me enough love. I have no
Josh,
nails.
come on.
Oh.
Do you need to tag me in? Oh!
There was a little splash.
There was a little bit of splash.
And there's a lot of dent.
There's a lot of dent?
Yeah.
Could you set it down for? Oh my God.
Oh.
It popped out.
I got relief.
You got relief.
I got free relief.
That's important, and that helps you out a lot. You're going to get a 5.6.
a 5.6 out of
10. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so shitty.
It's pretty bad, but we're happy
Thank
you're
you.
here.
Thank you guys.
I'm going to show you how to do it.
Oh my God. And the like little
That was pretty nice.
That was cinematic.
So we gave Kostas the skinny can because skinny cans are way easier, and I wanted to see if I could help him out today specifically. So
okay.
Still with the dent though.
You did. You still didn't.
That was hot.
It was better. It was better than he normally does it, and that's what matters.
What do I get?
Like a 6.4. Yeah.
I'm usually in the twos.
Yeah, he's usually like ones and twos.
That's fine. It's
Cheers.
my first time. I can take the lowest score. Cheers.
Yeah. No, I mean that wasn't too bad.
That's gonna chill you right out.
Yeah. You're here.
Okay. Let's do this thing.
All right. So last time I think I saw you.
Let's fucking go. It's like ASMR, honestly, talking to this mic.
Isn't it kind of nice?
We might not talk about anything today.
Anything content related.
Okay, so last time I saw you, we were not actually in LA, and we were on set for Thomas Rhett's new singles, right? It's not a full album. It was
well, yeah, it was a full album.
He didn't even know what he was being hired for. He just showed up with a camera and was like,
Literally, well, I hit him up. I think I hit you up, right?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, it was for his 7th album, I guess. But it was like 7 singles leading up to the album, or 5, I think, something like that. yeah, there was like a campaign basically for all that, like press photos, like Times Square billboard type stuff. They did like some visualizers. They had like a video team for all like the songs for the Spotify stuff. And then I shot the 5 single covers and then the album cover.
Wow. And you do this all on film, right?
So this was a mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah, the creative director wanted to do a lot of film. That was like the main reason he like reached out to me, was to have a lot of this shot on film. But on these bigger sets, shooting film is it's difficult because they can't see shit, you know, like as it's coming in. So it was like 50-50. It was the cover of the album was actually digital.
Do you enjoy that because they can't be over your shoulder? Like, let me see what that
looks like. Oh my God,
like.
dude.
You
I
love
fucking love it. That was one of the main reasons I like started shooting film. Well, not like why I started, but why I like kept shooting film was because I would like go to photo shoots and like be like, I take a photo and I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick. And they're like, yeah, no, they're like, that's gonna be fire. I'm like, trust me, that's gonna be fire. Like, I swear to God, it's gonna be so good. Like, and honestly, I'm not lying though. Like at this point, I've shot so much film now that like when I looked at the viewfinder and like take the photo, it's almost like when I take it, like it gets stored in my like head, and then like even when I'm waiting for the film to come back, I'm like waiting for like specific shots that I like knew like are gonna be bangers. So yeah,
that's fun.
It's different than the spray and pray approach that most
Totally
people are doing. They're shooting like 50, 100, whatever, and they're like, all right, one of these better be good. Where you're very intentional with the frames. Like, how many do you think you get on, like for this shoot, for example? How many different rolls are you filling up on one shoot?
For Thomas Rhett, it was actually not as much as I thought we were gonna shoot. I think I brought like 5 boxes of Portra 400, which so it's like 25 rolls. For 2 days. I shot like 7 or 8 rolls over the 2 days, which is not a lot because I was shooting so much digital. With that shoot, the idea was to do a lot of film and a lot of digital, but getting there on set and like realizing how behind we got so fast. And also the creative director there's a lot of people that need to see shit, you know what I mean? Like he has to show the photos to like somebody else and they have to show them to somebody else, and Thomas Rhett has to see him and like be like hyped up because like also I've never met this guy. It's the first time I'm like meeting him. It's the first time he's like ever worked with me or seen my work or whatever. So I kind of have to like, at least in that first like 4 hours of the day, had to sort of shoot a lot of digital and like show it on the monitor so he could like come up and be like, oh my God, that's sick. And I'd be like, yes, it is. You can see it. It's sick. It's right there. But yeah.
How do you build rapport right off the bat? Like going into a shoot like this, you're shooting with a very successful artist, and they need to trust you within those first, few hours of you shooting together that like you're going to be able to deliver on what he's looking for. He's doing a full rebrand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you go about building rapport with these artists and people that you are shooting?
So I'm sure we'll get into this, but before I was a photographer, a working photographer, like I did acting and stuff. But basically what that taught me was like to just be like super engaging with everybody, like as soon as you get there. So for example, like with Thomas Rhett, I don't really get starstruck like with celebrities or anything. Also, I don't really listen to country music, so like I wasn't like
who's this guy hiring me?
Yeah. No, I do now after that shoot, but yeah. So I basically just kind of like chopped it up with him, got to know him for a second. It was very quick. Like he literally like we set up our first shot, and like Brad, the creative director, was like, okay, we have like Thomas coming out in like 5 minutes because his trailer was like there. They drove it from like Nashville or whatever, and he comes out. We honestly exchanged like very few words at first, and because we had to get right into this shot because there was so much we had to do for like one day. We got into it, and basically just like I try to keep it super light-hearted. Like everything's super light. Like if I don't really love like what we're doing here, I'll literally just be like, this kind of looks like kind of shitty, bro. Like let's fucking switch it up. Like I kind of keep it like very collaborative and like. Definitely when the monitor is like on, it's cool to have him like look at shit and like get hyped on what he's looking like. And because everyone's so different too, so like that first hour of feeling it out is kind of feeling like who they are and like whether they need some like direction or whether they're like super just like mobile and like ready to fucking get their photo taken. I don't have to do much. So I would just say like, it's just for me about being like just their friend, like homies at the end of the day, which I feel like I'm pretty good at doing.
Yeah, you definitely have that like that very friendly aura about you. I feel like what I admire about you is no matter who you meet, I feel like you're able to find some sort of rapport with them like right off the bat. I will also say he's a cool fucking guy.
Dude, yeah.
And he was so easy to just talk to. He was like the nicest guy, like making conversation with not just you, but like everybody on set.
Yeah. No, he was like almost too charming. I was like, okay, now I'm the one who's like fucking like freaking out here. I'm not even like getting my photo taken and whatever. So yeah, that was refreshing for sure. I was like, all right, this guy's super cool. He golfs. Like I started to learn so much about him. And honestly, like I feel like with the bigger sets, everyone starts to form like a very quick bond, you know, like very quickly versus like the kind of one-off, like one day shoot where it's like, you know, you're just doing like a little lifestyle shoot for a brand or like kind of a e-com or whatever. Like when it's something where like the person has invested like their own personal brand into like this whole photo shoot, like they want to make this something like super cool, you know, like he's not just showing up to like a press shoot, like that he has to get a few photos for like whatever. He's like, this is like an album cover, you know, that he put in like all this work for this album, like all this time in the studio and shit. So like, and this is like the final process is like getting it all, like all the visual stuff like dialed in, which is like the fun shit, you know? So yeah, that makes it like very easy, I feel like, on the bigger sets, because dude, by the end of the bit you're like, you fucking like miss everybody when you leave. You're like, shit, like this is like a family. And that was 2 days, so like that also helps. You're staying at a hotel with like the same crew and shit, and like, you know how it goes. But, yeah. So
now when you have a shoot like this with a bigger video team too that's like also on it, do you feel, how do you kind of navigate working with a video team that also their stuff's important, they have to do this visualizer stuff, and you're trying to also get these five is insane, by the way, that's a lot, I feel like.
Five what?
Five covers, right? Is that not an
7?
Oh, 7.
I think it's 5. I don't know, honestly. I'm like,
you're like, I sent them all the pics. I don't know what's going on.
I think it's 5. But it was split 2 days in like Central California and then 2 days in Nashville. So it was like 3 and 2 realistically. So it was probably like 2 or 3 we were shooting over those 2 days. And the album cover came from the California shoot that you were on. But yeah,
I think I snagged the one that they're using, right? Did you see that?
Yeah, I'd love to get to that. I was waiting for that. Yeah, this is a perfect time to bring that up.
Did you see the meme that we posted today? Is Anthony Edwards, where I made a little meme.
When they bring the BTS.
I'm still the number one option though.
No, literally, that's so true. Honestly though, like that happens sometimes. They use BTS people's photos. That's and funny. Like but what were you saying? Like, what was the
split when you're doing something with a video team?
How
do you go about kind of navigating that and making sure you're getting your stuff, but then saying, okay, I got to be mindful that in 2 minutes I have to be off and these other guys have to get on. What's that kind of like on a bigger set like that?
I think it's like the discussion happens before every shoot. I feel like whenever there's 2 teams where it's like, how do you want to work, right? Like the video team obviously has their fucking leader, their DP and all that, and then like I'm sort of like the leader of the photo team, and we kind of like meet up and just like, that's at least how I like to do it. I like to just be like, yo, what's up, what's really good, like how do you want to do this today, like how do you work, like how can I make your life easier, how can you make my life easier. So for that, like we ended up just basically saying, I'm gonna go in and shoot stills, and then you're gonna go in and shoot video after that. And that obviously didn't fucking happen at all. It was a complete everything just like kind of just happened as it was happening. Like we had this plan, but like when there's so much that needs to be done and the shot list gets changed, like, you know, up until the day before, it's sort of like, okay, well, like the horse is ready now, and like we'd rather get the horse on video because it's more cool to have the horse like moving and stuff, and then like, so we're gonna do the video first here, but like you need to get some stills of like the silhouette of this cowgirl with her hat like over the horse. So like oh, now's a perfect time to go do that. So you go do that. And like, so it's so much on the fly, like so much on the fly.
Bro, I feel like that's so much of our jobs though, is being able to just be in the moment and be like, okay, now we're going to do this now. And
dude, totally.
Have you been on set though with people that are like, it ends the world if it doesn't go to plan?
Oh my God,
then I feel like it makes them as the creative, or if their client,
shuts them down.
It shuts everything down.
Dude,
and then the shoot's kind of like not ruined, but in a way it kind of is. And I feel like that's big. And it sounds like you're just a go with the flow person. You're just like, oh, all right, sure, we're gonna figure it out. We don't really have an option.
That's what I was gonna say, is like, I feel like that's what's also been good and like helped me like get set apart in like my career, is just being able to like go with the flow, which goes back to like the acting world and stuff, and just like having to like, you know, it goes back to even further than before that, when I did like theater in high school, and it was like, oh, you fucked up on, like, someone's fucking up on stage, but like the show has to go on. Like it's the same with like being on set, like the show like literally has to go on. Otherwise, like, what, are you just gonna be like, okay, like it's not working today, like let's try again tomorrow? Like there's so much money in some of this shit. So yeah, just like going with the flow with the video team, I feel like is moral of the story, like the best way to do it. Just kind of feeling what the other person needs, what you need. And sometimes like they prioritize like video, you know, their shoots were like video is like a key part. And even before this one, they were like the video, I would say, was probably 60% of this shoot. They were like, we obviously need an album cover, we need like some very important things, but like, you know, video, it drives so much nowadays. So
you bring up preparation, and a lot of stuff is discussed in the pre-production process when it comes to a shoot of this magnitude. Like, one, how did they find you? And two, in those pre-production meetings, how many pre-production meetings are you having? And what goes into those meetings to like be as dialed as possible for the shoot?
So for this, I got reached out to literally through a DM that I never saw. Yeah. Then I got an email from the creative director for Thomas Rhett saying like, hey, like, it literally was just like, hey, I'm the creative director for a country artist named Thomas Rhett. Like, we're doing a campaign rollout for his 7th album. Like, would love to talk to you about shooting it. And like, he started it out with like, I sent you a DM. And I was like, oh fuck, like I'm already in like I'm like, I either look sick as fuck, like, or
I'm too busy to respond
dick.
to this.
Yeah. So I went back and looked, because fucking Instagram, like, they have like the hidden requests, you know, but then they have like the extra hidden requests. If you scroll down to like show all or whatever, yeah, it was like in there somehow. But anyway, yeah. So I replied to that email and was like, yeah.
Well, that might be more on him, because I feel like if he was, you know, if you're somebody, maybe you go to the regular. No, I'm kidding,
like,
I'm kidding.
yeah, like, dude, like, get your following up, man. Like, no, like, but yeah. So I replied. I was like, yeah, let's set up a call, whatever. We had a call. Basically, he was, you know, like the first basic surface level shit where it's like, how do you work? Like, this is what we're trying to do. Like, Thomas Rhett's a great guy. Like, you seem like a great guy. Love your style. What's your rate? You know, I'm like, I hate telling people a rate on the phone too, by the way. I'm just like,
you don't like doing the numbers talk on the phone. You'd rather email?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I'll talk on the phone like for a follow up and like give you the details like over the phone, but I don't know. It's just like when it's on the spot like that, I'm just like I don't want to say the wrong answer, and like I don't want to say like. So yeah, I always try to like make it seem like it is true. I do want to kind of like take a second and like figure out what the fuck they want and like how I can package that better. But regardless,
if they do that, Josh, do you have advice that maybe you've taken or that you could tell someone to say, hey, this is how I would do it if they hit you? Like, yeah, we need to know the price right now. We're dealing with 10 other photographers potentially. Like, is that how that convo went, or no? It
didn't go that way, but sometimes that has sort of happened. And I've basically just been like, okay, well, like I can give you like a ballpark, you know, like that. So I'll usually give them like a rough ballpark and then kind of give them like a sort of like a tier option. Like with my rates, like when people reach out to me about that stuff, like I try to keep it super simple. Like with photography, it's a little easier than like, you know, like video and stuff. But I literally just say like, it's a half and a full day like rate, you know what I mean? So it's like if we're doing like a 5-day shoot, it's gonna be 5 days of like a full rate, you know. And if there's travel involved, like you get into that, and like that's why it's so hard to answer like quickly, because when they're reaching out to you, they still don't really know like fully what this shoot's gonna look like. They're in like the beginning stages of like planning it, right? So like I try to just give them a rough ballpark, you know, like here it's like this is usually my full day rate, like minus and plus couple things, but yeah, I would say keep it vague, because once you fucking give them a number, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Got the number down right here. Damn, $10.
When you email them back, like, you said this number on the
you're
phone.
like, I don't know who the fuck that was.
That was my assistant.
Yeah, he's a dumbass. I gotta fire that guy. What the hell? Yeah.
When you go though from, because like we've all worked for like $100 or $50 videos,
Yeah.
$200 shoots, right? And many people listening to this might be in that beginner range, or maybe they're making thousands. I don't know, but let's say when you're starting out, you're making like $100 photo shoot or a $200 photo shoot. How do you go about raising that rate up? What kind of goes into that? Is it your skill level? You've been doing it for a certain amount of time. Is it the clientele that you've had the chance to work with? Is it accumulation of all of that? And maybe, what do you have advice for a photographer out there that might be charging in this $100 range, $200 range?
I think it comes down to the demand of you, basically. Like in the beginning, I literally like said yes to like everything, you know what I mean? Like anything I could get my hands on, I was just like, I just want to shoot, I just want to like take photos, right? So like I would say until you get to the point where like you're like, oh, I don't really want to spend a whole day doing this for $100, because I could have something else come up, or I could be like working on something else or whatever. I feel like that's sort of like when you keep your rate like the same. Once you start like getting reached out to more, and you're like, oh, okay, things are like, or even if you're reaching out to if you're reaching out to people and getting lots of yeses and stuff, like goes both ways. That's when that's when I rose my rates, is when like I was like, oh shit, like I feel like I can kind of like not pick and choose what I want to do or anything like that, but like at the same time, like I know my like value, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's such a hard fucking question, because like we all started like at that, and literally like I feel like I did $200 shoots for like fucking, I did free shoots for like pretty much my whole life until 6 years ago.
I will also say you started working with a team. I feel like once you bring other people on, you can start raising your rates, because now it's not just you, it's a whole team. You're working
1000%.
more as like more of a professional, as opposed to just like doing a random photo shoot.
1,000%. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, the team aspect of it is like, I get reached out to by a lot of brands that are not based in LA, and don't have the capacity to produce a shoot out here like on their own, and then have me as like the photographer, right? So like that's kind of my world is split in two. Like I have jobs where I get reached out to like, hey, we'd love to bring you on as a photographer for this shoot. Everything else is like lined up. Like we have stylists, lighting department, this and that. And then there's like a route where I get reached out to from brands in like China or London or Canada, where they're like, hey, like we love your style. We don't necessarily need to like fly you out here to like have a shoot out here. Can we send you product and then you produce it, basically? So like I would say like in the last year I've like been like photographer / producer, like because like I'm like producing these shoots now, and that's why I had to like get a team, basically, is like I had to get like people I knew that could do really fucking good still lighting, and then like I needed people that could do like video, like just to do like some like real stuff on the side, and then like stylists and like hair and makeup and like all this shit. So yeah, now I have like a web of people that I really like to work with. Like some people in the beginning I like didn't love, and so I would like find new people, but I feel like now I have like a good core. And then yeah, like having to package that into like one rate, because basically I have like a business now, like I can I have like LLC and all that, so everything will just go under the business or whatever. But yeah, so getting the rates from like all these different people and making sure they get paid, and like, so yeah, that adds another stressor, because they're like, then you don't, you're waiting for the check for your thing, and then you got like 5 other people on your crew like also like waiting, so it's like, yeah, that obviously raises the rate. And if you're producing something, you should make a little bit more for taking that extra time to fucking coordinate this whole shoot. That's a whole other job in itself. So yeah, I have my rates they vary, but those are like the two sides. Like if I'm just a photographer and I'm coming in, it's like this rate. And then if I'm producing a shoot and hiring a team and doing everything, then it's a whole nother thing.
And someone on your team, Ethan, right, is your lighting guy?
Yeah.
Watching him work, that guy is so knowledgeable about lighting specifically.
I love you, Ethan. Ethan is the best. Yeah. He's so good.
Can you talk about the importance? Obviously, I think we all know that lighting is very important, but can you talk about how lighting can change an image and how important lighting actually is when it comes to photography and being on a large set. Because even just seeing, like, you're out in like wilderness. We were out on like a road, and it's like, okay, we got to set up like 2 lights, and there's a truck and Thomas Rhett, and you're getting a specific look. And you can't do that unless you have the lighting dialed. So can you talk about how important lighting is?
Yeah. So lighting is like, I mean, it goes without saying, it's like fucking like 75% of like the final like image, you know, like especially with anything digital. With film, you can get away with like some shittier lighting sometimes because like it has so much character already that you don't have to compensate for it that way. But with digital and with people, it's so important because like the face is so fucking like 3-dimensional, right? So it's like if the lighting isn't right, it looks horrible. Everything looks horrible. But with digital, it's like a 2D image, you know. To make like those images pop and feel like they have life and all that is to make it like a fucking 3D image and get like lighting in there. I didn't know this like when I first started photography. I mean, I knew like lighting was super important and like golden hour and like all that, you know, fucking like shit. But like fucking strobes and like I geek out over this shit now because like I really don't know much about like the technicality of lighting, like what the fuck, I don't really know what these are called. Like that's crazy. Like I'm a great photographer, like I have a good eye and all that, but like the lighting, that's why Ethan is such a goat. Like he's so good. He went to school for this. He knows every term. He knows like how like different setups are going to affect different things and like how to do it quickly, because that's why you have a lighting guy on your team, is to like make this shit happen like smooth. But it's so important. It's like night and day. Like if you throw even just a reflector on somebody versus like having a 3 strobe like setup going, you know, you have like a key light and then you have like the backlight and you light up the truck. Like for that photo that you're talking about with the truck, like they literally put in 2 little strobes in the headlights because this was a super old truck that the headlights weren't going to shine. And for this shot, we were basically like going to have the truck like here, Thomas Rhett standing here in the street and like just being cool and shit. And then he was gonna be illuminated by the headlights of the car. But we like pull the car up and everything, and like the sun's coming down really fucking quick. And we want to get it kind of like blue-ish hour.
Okay.
But the lights on the truck are this old ass truck, so they're not shining anything. They just look like they're glowing, right? So like fucking Ethan was just like, let's put 2 strobes in the fucking head, or next to, not in the headlights. They had to put it in the grill of the car next to the headlights. And so when I was taking photos, the strobes on TR and the scene were going off, and then the ones in the car were triggering all at the same time. So every image you would see 2 like big beams of light coming out of the hood of this car, and then you just move over the little lights into the headlights in Photoshop, and then
done deal.
Done. And then it looks like this fucking super cinematic fucking banger.
Wow.
Yeah. And like that's just shit that's like he has to think on the fly too, just like, you know, I do and everybody does on set. And yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's super important. It tells a story so much more. I mean, like mood lighting, super harsh flash, like you know, me and Ethan go back and forth a lot per shot, basically, like on what the feel of this image we want it to feel like, you know, like if we want it to feel like a super candid moment where like someone's like running in the street, and like we'll just literally like hold a giant bare bulb flash over like the camera and just like blast the subject so they're kind of a little blown out, a little crunchy. Like it just makes it feel like, oh, this looks like almost paparazzi but not. And then, you know, and then you can get really soft lighting where everything's like super smooth. And I mean, yeah, you could talk about it for days, but yeah.
Now for video, we had a shot list, right? And we know where these lights are going to be set up. Is it similar for photo? Like at this level, is everything set up and you and Ethan are like, okay, we're going to have the light here. We're going to have like maybe a big black shade over here. What is that what does it look like at this level, with, especially when you have to work quickly and be efficient? And you obviously, I know you know the shots that they need, but from like your team standpoint.
We try to plan like beforehand, like for Thomas Rhett, we had a lot of pre-production meetings for that. Like I got a lot of lighting. I got mood boards for like the style of the photos. I got mood board for like lighting style. And so like me and Ethan talked about like what we needed and gear and stuff to bring, because there's so many options for rental and all that to like bring with you to capture that mood, you know? And we knew like we'd be shooting in like a house for one. We'd be shooting out on the street for another. We'd be shooting by a campfire for one. So we basically just like divided it into like those three things of what we needed as far as like equipment went for those three scenes. But honestly, like the way I work is very like just kind of spur of the moment sometimes. So I try to plan so that I can ditch the plan. That's sort of my like MO is like we plan like a ton beforehand so that like we have everything we need and like the basic setup ready to go. But once I'm in there, like I'll see shit where I'm like, oh fuck, like, okay, we got like what we came here for, but like, let's pivot this way and fucking TR just jump over the fucking bonfire. Like he did that. He just like literally ran into like a giant jump over the bonfire with his Coors Light in his hand. And I was like, ditch that light, just fucking throw a fucking flash over my shoulder, Ethan. Cause like it was the end of the day. And like, you know, like you gotta be quick. Cause like the moment people stand around, they're going to lose that spark. So
you did so many not paid free shoots that was just like, yo, let's go to a sick spot. I'm going to get a model and it's just going to be me and my camera and we're going to try to get some cool shit. And I feel like you still have that in you when you're on set for these big things. It's like kind of go back to the basics. It's like, regardless of all the people on set and all the gear, all the lighting, everything that's going on, it's like we're just here to get a really cool looking image. And like sometimes it's just that run and gun shit. Like just give me a flash and a camera and like let's catch a vibe.
No, totally. I try to stick to that. Like, I think I'll stick that forever. Like that's why I got into photography, was to just have fun, first of all, obviously, and like make cool shit. So I still do that to this day. Like not on set. I literally like probably twice a week, if I can, I'll just hit up like a random model that I worked with for another shoot or whatever, or someone that's like, you know, an influencer or whatever. And like, just think of like any idea and just go like shoot it for like it literally takes me like 30 minutes. I'll just be like, let's meet here, super quick, bring this, bring that, here's a couple of photos of what I'm thinking. They show up, we shoot for like 30 minutes, make some like a roll of film or 2 rolls of film. I'll go to the film lab that day, drop it off, get it back like that night, edit the photos that night, make a reel the next morning and send that shit off on Instagram and like call it a day. And like it's so fun because it's like it's really easy. You just fucking gotta go like out and do it. And there's times where I don't have like ideas, you know, to shoot. And that's when I tell the model like, what's the idea?
what are we gonna do?
What
here?
are we doing?
You talked about reels, creating content. I've been on your Instagram. You have some stunning images, but it's not just photos anymore. You're making reels. You've bought in a little bit to this idea of social media and showcasing your photography in a different way, because like we're trying to get our stuff seen. We're trying to get people to see our work to hopefully maybe inquire about it.
Dude, yeah.
How has that process been? Because you have, it sounds like an insane opportunity that just happened, you know, this year through the DMs, which is pretty ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Now are a lot of these leads inbound, and is it from Instagram now that they're coming to you?
I would say, wow. 95% of the jobs that I get reached out for or inquired about are from Instagram.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
when that happens.
And it used to be like kind of like that, because Instagram is really like, I mean, for like us, it's like huge, it's important, right? But I had like 7,000 followers, I think. Sorry, like end of summer last year. And I loved Instagram. I was posting on it every day, like just posting a new photo or some work or whatever. And because I knew, like, even because I had a small following, like that's still like my portfolio. Like people are going to see that and be like, okay, like, oh, this guy's sick no matter what. So I know really talented photographers who work a fuck ton, as you guys probably know, who have like, you know, 1,000 followers because like they're just well known in the industry. But anyway, I was just posting like whatever, and then started posting the reels. And I remember I did a fun shoot with this kid named Abel, and we rented a pier space like downtown, and the idea was like, just fucking, you have a black guy, and like it was a shitty old like apartment. You can pop up the photo if you want here, I guess. I don't know if you do that, but Yeah, and I just was making reels like I normally did, and I think I just wrote like when the inspo is she left me or some shit, you know, like I was just like on my couch like fucking whatever, and I threw that bitch up there because like it was, you know, it was just like 2 videos of me shooting and then like whatever, and yeah, like it just did normal engagement for like a week, you know, got like 200 likes, and I was like, oh sick, this did pretty good. And then yeah, and then like fucking one day, dude, it was like my notifications were like going crazy, like 100 likes every like, you know, minute or whatever, and yeah, it just kept fucking going for like 2 weeks. That video just kept going, and it hit like 4 million views or whatever, and like shit went to like 27K in like basically a week.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh, okay, like I should do another one of those.
Hey, we're gonna put that band
I
aid
was,
one more
like,
time.
I was like, okay, I'm addicted. Like back addicted to social media. Fire.
Likes, followers,
fucking love me. I need it. I need it. But yeah, so I just literally was like, I hit up the next person I could find. I'm like, I need to do a shoot with you right now. Like, let's fucking do it. And we fucking just like
serotonin.
Yeah, it's like, let's
make me feel like I'm enough.
I'm like, gratify me, please. So yeah, I just did another one. Fucking the next one I did went even crazier. It got like 13 million.
No
like,
way.
Yeah, 13 million views. And
were brands coming at that point?
Yeah, that's when like I got like just certain things I've always heard of, like, you know, the app Tezza, like the Tezza app.
I give that girl so much money every year.
Okay, yeah. She hit me up like from her personal Instagram and was like, hey, like I want you to shoot like our next like film preset like campaign or whatever. And I was like, she's like, I just saw your reels, they're so cool. And I was like, oh, cool, okay, yeah, hell yeah. And then like other like the Thomas Rhett thing came out, and I was like, at first I was like, I don't know who Thomas Rhett is, and I looked him up, and then I was like, oh fuck, like this is a huge country artist, like that's crazy, like, this is gonna be a big job, like just from this guy seeing my reels, you know, and like then going and seeing my other work, and like so yeah, it brought so much, and it just kind of kept going to where it is now. And yeah, so I try to like, that's why I try and do fun shit still, like every like once or twice a week at least, to just keep that shit going and like keep people seeing, like, and they love it. I mean, it's such a simple formula. It's literally just like a couple of videos of like BTS into the photos, like, you know, and at first like I was just doing actual jobs and not having anyone take like a video of me shooting ever. And now like any job I do, I'm just like, whoever fucking is around, I'm like, can you just take like a quick like 0.5 behind me of the scene, you know, like, and even if I don't use it, like at least I have it and I can, you know, because I'll always have photos. That's the nice part about my content, is like it's never ending as long as I'm working, you know, like I can always just keep sharing stuff. But yeah.
But the fact that you're still doing it, I think is important. I feel like it's easy to kind of, you start doing it early on, and then you start, you know, booking jobs and seeing some success, and then you kind of maybe forget about what got you those jobs in the first place. It's you never know who's going to see your stuff. But you also, like, when you were doing these shoots for free, just for fun, for social media and just for your portfolio, it's like you were shooting what you wanted to eventually get hired to do, and then you got hired to do it. And I think there's like so much power in that. Yeah,
like I did basically, I think this was after this was a video that I did before the like blow up happened, you know. Basically I got a book from my girlfriend for, I forgot what it was. I think we were in Laguna and she bought me a photo book there. It was a skateboarding like photo book from like the 70s, 80s, a super like big photographer. This is so bad I don't know what it is, but either way, she was like, you should do a shoot like this, like just do fucking like, this is the inspo. Like it was like all these kids like long hair wearing like, you know, Vans and old Vans and shit. And I was like, I'm just gonna make like an old Vans like ad, you know, type of thing, because that's like my style, my vibe. It's like very like vintage like kind of shit. So yeah, I just got like 5 friends together and we shot like a fake Vans ad or whatever, posted it. Few months went by, then that one video blew up, so my whole page was starting to like kind of go nuts or whatever. And then fucking like 3 months ago maybe, I got an email as I was sitting at my girlfriend's dad's office, who I was working for at the time to make money. I was like going there like, you know, twice a week to help him out, and it was a fucking from Converse, and it was like, it literally just said Josh Aikan summer Converse campaign you know, with an X in the middle. And I was like reading it and it was like, hi, like we like love your stuff. Like we'd love to set up a call and chat about you possibly shooting like one of our campaigns for us this year. And I was like, holy fuck, like that's huge. Like that's so fucking great for a fashion photographer. Like that's like money, you know? And yeah, so like I had a Zoom call with them and I was like, I know the first question I'm gonna ask them is like, how the fuck did you like find me, right? And they were like, we saw a reel that you did that was for Vans, I think. She was like, it was for Vans. She's like, was that actually for like Vans? And I was like, no, it was just like a test shoot I did, you know, for them. And she was like, okay, good, because we want to use that exact idea for the campaign. And we want to even maybe shoot at the same house, like this. And like I was like, I basically already shot the fucking thing just with Vans on their shoes instead of Converse. Yeah. Yeah. And so I was just like, that was like full circle. I was like, dude, this is super powerful. Like just make like whatever, you know, like as long as it's cool and shit and like you love it, like someone's just gonna reach out and just be like, just do that again, but like with our brand, you know?
I feel like as creatives, we're one little post away from the right brand finding you, the right client seeing your stuff, or even going nuclear on a post where you have increased engagement, people are seeing your stuff, and then they go to something that you made for spec, and then they want to hire you for it. And we've talked about it before, but you got to go out and make the work that you want to be paid to make, and people will see it, man. Like the right person will see it if you're posting it consistently, and you have a very specific style. People can see it now, and it's awesome that you're getting booked. Like that's so sweet that you went from doing all these free shoots, grinding your ass off, and now they're seeing it and all of that hard work. It's like you're not an overnight success because you put in these last 10 years of doing it every single day, but people see that and be like, oh, you just had this one or these two reels go off, and you know
it's funny how that works, right?
You've put in so much work for it.
Yeah, because on the surface it looks like
they would see that,
but
people,
there's so much
exactly
fucking,
they could
scroll
go for
down and it's like, dude, I'm posting so much. And should I even post it on there?
I told my mom you were coming on the pod, and she was like, he's kind of like that overnight success, huh? And I was like, no
way.
No, I'm kidding.
You're like, Jill.
I was like, that's sick that she's talking about me. That's great.
Would you say the Converse shoot, getting that email, would you say that was one of the first moments where you were like, I can really do this as a full-time career if I'm getting reached out to by Converse, like it's possible?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, at that time, like I had done like Hollister, so I had done like a couple of like really cool jobs and stuff, and was working like pretty, I would say like consistently for like, you know, me at the time. I was like, this is great. But yeah, like that was like, oh, for sure. Like that's when I realized it was starting to switch to the point where like I was the one getting reached out to versus like me reaching out, because I put in like basically like almost a year and a half, 2 years of like reaching out like 5 people a day, like 5 brands a day at the minimum. Like I would literally go on my phone and look through like my stories, because at the time I was getting so many sponsored ads from like fashion brands, like some I haven't ever heard of that had really big followings, some that I had heard of. And anyone I would see, I would, even if like if it was Gucci or some shit, I would just be like DM, and I would just be like, send the same fucking message. And I would just keep it super simple and straightforward. I'd just be like, hey,
let's exclamation point.
I said, I need to shoot for you. I would literally just say, I need, with NEED in like big caps, need to shoot for you, exclamation point, camera emoji. Boom. Sent that shit out. So many of those, to the point where Instagram like literally banned me from DMing people. Like it would say like, it would just not send, and and it would be like, your message can't send, and I'd be like, what? And then I would go like appeal it or whatever. And they're like, you're sending too many messages, dude.
Did any of those work?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, a lot did actually. Like I did a swimwear campaign for this brand called Black Bow Swim, and I literally saw their swimsuits at this event that I was at, like, because I was shooting a lot of influencer events back then at that time too. And their swim brand was there doing like a pop-up thing. And I was like, I'm just going to DM the brand. So I was like, what's up? Like, hey, let's shoot. And they replied and they're like, let's do a shoot. Did a shoot like 2 weeks later. Then like a week later, they flew me to Hawaii to do another shoot for them. And I was just like, dude, that was just a DM.
I'm in Hawaii. One DM away.
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii on the beach, like working from just like being proactive with that, you know?
How did you transfer from doing like we've all done that stuff. You're doing events, you're doing kind of everything that kind of comes your way, and now it's strictly like we're doing a lot of campaign work.
Yeah,
you're doing these bigger campaigns with a bigger team. How do you kind of transition out of maybe something that you're not loving? Do you just not post about it and then like what you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel like.
Did you take in the bread, not posting about it? Like, because like I did that with weddings when I was starting out, right? I was doing weddings because I needed to afford the gear.
Right.
I couldn't afford the gear, right? You like
For
those
sure.
are $3,000 jobs, maybe even $5,000 jobs. So I'm saving money, buying a laptop, and I'm not posting about the weddings. I'm sharing the travel stuff that I wanted to get hired for.
Of course.
Is that what you did in those earlier days?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely wouldn't post like certain shit, you know, like, but I would say I started like shooting like event shit for fun, like creative things, like one-on-one portrait sessions or whatever. Like when I got my first camera, that was like the first thing I did. Then it moved into like, I started going to these like influencer houses a lot through like literally like Troy, like my buddy. And he was bringing me, you know, over to these TikTok parties and all that shit. And I'd bring my camera because this was right when COVID like hit. And they were having all their illegal parties.
Did you go to any Diddy parties?
He was top of that guest list.
God damn.
Josh Aikan.
Yeah, you really hit me hard there. Wow. I actually never been to a Diddy party.
For the record.
On the record.
Yeah, on the record, never been. Pre all this shit happening, that would have been cool to go. But fucking hell, glad I didn't go. Anyway, yeah, so then I would bring my camera to the influencer houses or whatever and just like take photos of like fucking Bryce Hall and like all these, you know, whatever famous kids. And those I would post because I was like, dude, I have to post these. Like, I was literally like, this is the only shit that gets likes. It's so sad, but it's true. It's like the only shit that people like fuck with and then take you seriously because you're like taking photos of like a, you know, person with like influence or whatever, which is, I admit it, I fucking did it, you know? So I did that, was posting that for a little while. That kind of faded out. Then started doing like, you know, smaller jobs for fashion. Like I was never really intending to like shoot like fashion stuff. I thought I was just going to shoot like, I don't know, like I really don't know, but fashion came into my world and then I was doing smaller brands and then posting that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, it sort of started to like elevate, I guess, into what it is now where I post literally whatever the fuck I want. Cause I feel like that's one thing I wish I would have done back then is just post more like my personal shit instead of like shit I thought was like important to post. So yeah, now that's why I feel like I'm in a good place now where like, you know, I can work, but I can also have fun still and like take photos for my own like personal love and post those because that's my best shit. And that's the shit that gets me work for the big jobs. It's also personal stuff.
It's also interesting that the stuff that you were posting of quote unquote famous people or these, you know, TikTokers, influencers isn't what was the video that blew you up to like get the Converse thing. It's like yeah. You did a spec shoot of like there was no famous people in it. It's just like your concept and something you wanted to shoot as opposed to, you know, posting somebody famous and going after that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it happened that way.
Yeah,
because now I have a very good, I actually really like kind of having like these followers because they're actually people that fucking have good taste. I feel like they like the video that I really liked that popped off. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's cool because now I feel like I can just post what you know what I mean? Like you didn't get famous for something you're like not stoked on. So then you're like some people get famous for something they're not like it was just a fluke and now they have to like be that fluke. But like I actually got to just post something I fucking love doing, my passion, and it just like popped off. So now I can keep doing
at those events when you're shooting, you know, people of influence or you're just at events, like you're obviously there there's events that you would go to that you were literally getting hired to shoot. But then there was times where you'd be like going out to these houses or the club and you're taking photos. Like how would you navigate those situations of, I want to get this moment and this is a cool moment to shoot and get a photo of, but I don't want to like always have my camera out? Or did you find that the people kind of just love that you had a film camera, a little point and shoot, and were down to be in photos?
Yeah, no, I said I was going to take my camera like everywhere with me. That was another thing. I was just like, I'm just going to take it to all these parties and stuff, and not even parties, but just like when I went over to people's houses, I would just take it. And yeah, no, I don't think anyone really like cared that I took photos, to be honest. Like I think this was at the time too where the party photographer was still sort of like a novelty thing. I feel like it wasn't as like big as it is now. Now you go to a party, it's like there's like 8 dudes with like film cameras and like fucking digital little cameras and every type of camera. So, but at that time I feel like, and this was like 4 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago, but still it was dying out then for sure. But I could get away with being the only guy in there with a fucking film camera, you know, and I was like taking cool film photos. And then what I would do is I would like, that's why I would post them, so that I would tag the people that were in them, then they would see them, repost them, follow me. And a lot of these people have, you know, really big like connections and really fucking big networks of people. And if they see that they're tagged in a photo of a photographer, then they follow you, and then they're like, oh, like, it's just like, you never know, you know, like they might just be like, oh, hey, like, you know, that's what started happening is I got reached out to from like the vlog squad being like, oh, like come shoot our like coffee release party or whatever. And then I would go shoot the coffee release party. And then all of a sudden I was, shooting like all these events. Like I started shooting at Soho House for like 6 months, just 2 events like a week. And, you know, and that was a great time because I networked so much during that time, and I was getting paid to do photography, but also like they were super chill there, and like they would like give me drinks and shit, and like I was like drinking, like taking photos, and like meeting these like sick people, like because like they did a release party for Rami Youssef. I don't know if you know who that is, the show Rami.
I don't know Rami.
He's a comedian, but he basically had a release thing there, and they were like, we want you to do a portrait session with him like in their hotel room before. And I was like, oh, sick. Ended up just taking like a few photos of him in there, and he's used that same photo that I took in there for all of his like tour dates and everything for like the last 3 years. And like I got an email from his assistant like 2 weeks later being like, hey, like how much would it cost for us to like use this photo for like the next 2 years for all of his tour, billboard stuff and all that? And I was like I don't know. Like that was the first time I've ever heard about like any like licensing or usage or
$10.
Yeah, I didn't know what to
Chipotle
say.
burrito would be great.
I was like, I don't know, man. Just I had to ask people, but
Yeah.
Does that happen now with the things that you do? Is most of it under usage rights and you're giving it to them for a year or for 6 months?
yeah, I can just usually include the usage in like the day rate essentially, because I personally don't, unless it's on a billboard. I don't care what you do with it. I'm like, you can put it on the internet. Like it's not of me. Like,
you just lob that into your day rate price that
Yeah.
you're giving to them. Because we had a guy for video, I remember, say that it was 25% of total budget. He was like, so if let's say it was 10 grand, he'd be like 25% of this, I'll give it to you guys for a year. And then every year he tacked on more. You're not as tactical as that? Or
that's a great
that's
like,
a great
way to make
okay, we like that.
some change. I mean, it is great, but like, yeah, I'm still like I said, like I'm only in this game like professionally like 6 years now, you know, and like really doing like the stuff I really want to do for the last like 2 years. So there's still like a lot of things like I'm kind of figuring out, you know, and I'm totally like open to admitting that. Like I fucking ask people all the time about certain things, and but yeah, it's a fucking learning process.
I think it's funny you saying like, yeah, dude, I was shooting so hot, I got with drinks, I'm taking photos. It reminded me of the video of the little kid being like, he's talking to his friend on the phone. He goes, dude, I'm playing Fortnite. Pizza rolls already. You got a girlfriend. Life's fucking awesome.
Life's fucking sick right now. Dude, yeah, that's literally what I felt like.
Making money with the camera?
Dude, I'm like, the sun's going down, dude. There's like drinks flowing. Like, this is fucking great, man. I got my fucking contacts with me. Like, everyone thinks I'm cool. Everyone wants a photo. Yeah. I'm just happy to be here.
What is your go-to gear setup?
I use a Canon 5D Mark IV and a Contax G2 for film. I shoot mainly 35 millimeter film. 120, I've shot and stuff before, but like for my type of photography and style, I feel like 35 is just like the best medium because it's super tactical and like run and gun. It's just easy. I get a lot more frames from, you know, each roll. I don't have to spend time like, because yeah, I work with the way I shoot is I like a lot of like life in my photos and story behind it, and those moments only happen sometimes ever so often, you know. And like if I'm someone's changing a roll of film for me and something crazy cool is happening, then I miss it. I'm like, oh, that's I hate that.
So with the contacts, do you have to pull focus or is it automatic?
It's autofocus.
That's great. That's really nice.
It's like the fanciest point and shoot, basically. Like,
I tried to do, one of Kostas' buddies in New York had the Leica that you got to turn the thing. Oh, I was trying to do it in the apartment, and I think I'm really good at pulling focus with video, and that was a whole different ballpark.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why. It was. You had to
get
used to
the
the
prism thing. Like,
you had to get used to it lining up perfectly, and then right there. And I was soft a lot. I was trying.
Oh, it's tough.
I was soft
dude.
a lot.
It's so nice. Yeah, me too. Yeah, right on, brother.
And that break to our sponsor.
Soft a lot.
Blue Chew.
There it is, dude. That's the test fucking spec for Blue Chew right there,
dude.
No, it was an interesting process though, trying to learn how to get it to be focused perfectly every single time.
That's funny because you are really good at
no, and
focus.
it was a completely different thing. And he was showing me with your thumb, you have to have it in this specific spot. And I was learning a lot about it. I thought it was very interesting. But you like the content. That would be my vibe, man. Maybe I need to look into this.
Check them out. They're sick. I mean, like it's a cheat code for sure. And like my first film cameras were all manual focus. And I think it's like super important to know. But like, I like photos that aren't in focus. Like
Slightly
if you go look at my work on my Instagram and stuff, like for
that'd be a great name for like some photography company. Slightly soft.
Every photo is a little blurry. It's very, very good.
Wait, with the film, one more question on the film. Are you using a continuous light source if you need it, or is it always just the camera and the little flash that pops out of the contacts?
I love just the on-camera flash of the contacts, and I love a reflector with film, like a silver or gold reflector or bounce, whatever you want to call it. That's my main lighting with film, honestly. If I'm doing stuff in the studio, then we'll use strobes, and it's a little different because you basically shoot digital, lock in your settings, because you're shooting an ISO 400 film. So then on your camera, you want to lock in like 400 ISO no matter what on it, and then change all the settings around that, and then go back to the film camera once you get a couple test shots with the strobes and it looks perfect. Then you literally just copy and paste the settings to the film camera, bring that in, and you should hopefully just get the same.
Bro, that's actually
light.
Insane that you don't get to look at it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it could go,
that's why you have the digital. Though.
Yeah,
think
no,
about,
totally.
Like,
that's
back
just
in the day.
crazy, dude.
So even on the shoots that you're shooting just film, you will still bring a digital camera to lock in the settings
Inside, specifically?
Yes, if we're using our artificial light.
What about outside though?
Outside, no. I just
raw dog it.
Full send.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've never gotten a roll back though, and it's just white.
Don't ever say that. You're never even supposed to bring that up.
Oh, my bad, dude. My bad.
Good thing this table's made
My
of
bad, dude.
mahogany.
My bad. Does stuff mess up though? Like, I mean,
for sure.
Like it can. I didn't mean to do it.
No.
I'm really
fine.
sorry.
It's fine.
I'm sorry about him.
It's okay. Yeah.
Dude, I told you the one thing not to
Yeah.
fucking say.
I know.
It's fine. The last time here, but it's fine. Like things happen. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think like the worst thing that's happened. It's always like something like where they're like double exposed or like.
That might look kind of cool.
Yeah, it's always like a happy mistake.
And you're like, no, I was going for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this fucking hell yeah. I misfocused on purpose here. Like I wanted to capture a more movement vibe. Yeah. But yeah, no, I haven't gotten anything like. And for when I shot Hollister, it was 6 or 7 or 8 rolls a day. It was a 5-day shoot.
Holy shit.
And they were getting it developed every day. So like if it's rare, but if you're shooting like film exclusively on like a big campaign like that for over a long period of time, then they'll develop it like per day so that at least they know like, okay, they got that day. In case like one day all of a sudden the camera fucks up and then you lose a day, but at least you don't lose like a 6-day shoot.
Shooting something like Hollister, where the main focus is the clothing, compared to a shoot like Thomas Rhett, where the main focus is the artist. Does your approach to each of those shoots change at all? Yeah.
The fashion stuff is like when I first started doing it, I guess my photography had always been kind of fashion focused and I just didn't know it, but I still missed a lot of things in the beginning. Like that's why like when I started working with a stylist who I'd never worked with before when I was doing shit for fun, they'd be like, oh, like they'd look at the monitor and be like, can we get like a kind of more cropped type of shot of like the shirt, and I like go in and just get like a crop shot of the shirt, but then I would like cut off the fucking collar or something, you know, and I'd be like, oh, this looks great. Like that looks really sick. Like, you know, it was like a perfect shot of him like moving or whatever. And they're like, yeah, it's a good photo, but like, you know, like the logo is like, it's like cut off right there. And I'd be like, oh, I guess that makes sense. You're trying to sell clothes here. Like I guess I get why we're all here is to sell this fucking t-shirt on this person. So yeah, that took me a minute to learn how to like, you know, keep that in mind when I was shooting. So yeah, that's like different with that. But then like with the Thomas Rhett stuff and like that's more like selling like the vibe and like energy of him and like his music and his brand and all that, you know, like he doesn't, what he's wearing, it matters obviously, but like I can take a photo of him like way the fuck out there and he could be super small like we did with that when he was on the horse, you know, going through the pastures of like Central California and he's super tiny. Like that's just like, that's why that shoot was super fun. Cause like it was just like, they were like, just do what you fucking what you do. Like just do your fun photography because it's going to work. And obviously we need a few clean portraits, which we, you know, allotted time for. We set up a backdrop in like a fucking barn basically, like we were shooting on this huge ranch and then we would just set up a backdrop. It's actually a super funny photo. It was just like this backdrop with like all this studio lighting in this like literal like horse barn with like horse shit all over and we're like shooting in there and it's just funny because it's like to the naked eye it's just like why the fuck did you set up a studio in a stable? But
you would also never know because it's just a blank background.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so like if you go see photos of him on a blank backdrop, it's actually
in a barn. Fun. Do you ever struggle with imposter syndrome at this point?
Yeah, for sure. What is your like definition of that?
When you get hired to shoot something that's maybe at the next level or even at something you've shot before, but you feel as though you're not at the level to be able to like execute that certain shoot, or you start doubting your ability as a photographer. I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome when I got hired by Loud Luxury for the first time because I was like, I've never shot a concert. They're successful DJs. Why would they hire me when they have the ability to hire anybody else? Am I good enough to like pull this off? Can I do both photo, video? Like all of those thoughts start running through your head. Yeah,
I think I definitely do. Occasionally, you know, I think what gets me out of that, because I've heard that term and we've talked about this before. What gets me out of that is just realizing that like we're doing an art that's like never like perfect, right? So like, and our eyes are seeing our work the most out of anybody. So when I get on set sometimes, I'll get my first couple shots out and I'm like looking at the like photos and I'm just like, I just feel like these are kind of like vanilla, you know, like they're just sort of like whatever. And maybe that's like the set or whatever, but sometimes I'm just like, but it's because like you're seeing it like through like a negative like headspace sometimes, like for whatever reason, sometimes you're just like having a weird day or this and that. So I was trying to like, just like take a step back and just be like, okay, like I see my work all the time. So like, it's going to feel sometimes a little repetitive or like, you know, like monotonous and like, but like, you know, then the creative director will walk over and look at it and be like, oh, that's so good. Like, that's so good. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, I don't act like a fucking like sad boy. I'm not like, really? But like, you know, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. But like inside, I'm like, it feels just like kind of, but that's good. Like that just makes you like, I feel like that's giving you every reason to just like want to make something different all the time. You know what I mean? Like we're all so good at what like our little things that we do, and we can do those things like that, like in a second, anytime. But like stretching that out and like trying to like do those other things that we're not very good at, or like we want to make the photo a little different, or like get it from a different angle or whatever. And like, so yeah, I just embrace it. I'm like, everyone's gonna have it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
are you competitive with yourself? Like, do you kind of look at your old stuff like, like I could have done this better? Maybe like just even a shoot that you did a few weeks ago, or not? Is that not at all in your approach?
I'm not too competitive with myself. I'm pretty easy on myself, I'd like to say. Yeah, I mean, there's times where like I get back and look at the images and I'm like, oh, I really wish I would have got like this shot. Like that's probably the extent of it. And I'm just like, but then I'm just like, hey man, we got as much as we could, you know. I can't get every fucking perfect idea out there. It's like when you're in an argument with someone and like after the argument you're like, oh fuck, I should have said this one thing, dude. Like that would have really had him done, you know. Like
such a good comeback, dude.
Yeah.
Like the next day.
It always happens.
Always the next day. So
Always the next day.
You can't get mad at yourself. Like you're fucking. It's hard being on the spot and being creative like all the time like that. And if you don't, sometimes the shot list is loose and you're doing a lot of like thinking on the spot. And some days are not as nice as others with the brain and like being creative. So
I want to go back because a couple crazy things. One, you told me that you switch schools damn near every year, right?
yeah, just about. I mean, like 2 years. I think 2 years. My mom, if she'll probably watch this, but I think it's 2 years, but I could be wrong. I think that was the longest I'd been in like one school, like ever, pretty much. Yeah. My family, they were in the hotel business. So like they both were in the hotel business. They both worked for Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Ritz-Carlton, Waldorf Astoria, like every fucking like hotel chain. And, you know, they grew in those hotels very quickly. They're super like successful. And so they moved us around a lot because they'd get a new job at like a certain hotel. Lucky for me, I got to live in like resort cities because they were all like resorts, you know. But yeah, it was tough occasionally just because I had to like move schools a lot, which was great. And I tell this story a lot. I don't, at the time of being a kid when it's happening, it's like, oh, fuck, like, you know, I'm going to move again. Like, it sucks, whatever. But I'm so happy that was my like upbringing because I got to experience so many things and I met so many people and I learned how to meet people and fucking click and like, and just become, you know, on the same level very quickly, you know, because I was just constantly being thrown into friend groups that had already been friends for ever, you know. So yeah, I feel like that helped a lot.
Yeah, you're like a social chameleon almost.
Yeah, I am. That's a great term.
But one of the things that we wanted to touch on, because we've touched on it before, like a couple of times on this podcast, but the fact that like you pursued acting growing up, photography was a hobby, but like you said yourself, like you didn't really hit your stride until a couple years ago, and you're what, 29, 30?
Yeah, 30 in October.
Okay, cool. Happy early birthday.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
But it's like you were pursuing acting and then you switched in your mid 20s, and it's like, it's really never too late to try something new.
1,000%. Yeah. I moved here when I was 18 for acting. I did acting like all through high school. That was like, I was like, this is it. I was either going to go to New York or go to LA. And I decided like last minute to come to LA. And yeah, came here, did acting for like, probably like, I want to say 6 years, probably 6 years. Screen acting, just like auditions, you know. I did like some big national commercials, nothing like major, was never like in a fucking movie with like a big star or anything. But it was super fun and I loved it. But I began to not love it like pretty like halfway through. I just didn't want to admit it to myself, you know. And I also loved LA. So I was like, this is like my reason for being here. Like I got to just stick it through. And I heard so many people that would drop out and not become successful. I was like, I'll just keep doing it. And then COVID hit and I was working at a bar, you know, that's what I did. I bartended and I served and I did all that while I was like acting. And, yeah, COVID kind of started coming. They laid off all the bartenders, obviously. And I was like, okay, great. And then like the acting industry obviously totally stopped. At that time, it was about a year that I was already sort of done with it. You know, I was like, this is kind of not really great anymore. And then it all just ended. So I was like, okay, great. Now I'm done with that. But I was like, what am I going to do with this time and shit? And like, I had my cameras and stuff. And I remember the first Christmas of COVID, I went back home to Arizona and everyone, my whole time that I was taking photos for fun, I always shot on like a little digital like T5i that I had that I got for Christmas way back. And I would edit my photos to look like film, or try to at least. And I didn't really know I was doing that. I was just editing to what I liked from inspiration and stuff. So people were always like, get a film camera. And I was like, I don't want to do that. It's like so complicated. Like what the fuck? And so yeah, my girlfriend was like, buy a film camera. Like, let's go fucking find you one. We were in Arizona. I went to this place called Wilson Camera, who's owned by this kid named Nick, who's fucking he was the nicest guy. I owe a lot to him, honestly, because I walked in and he was like, hey man, like, welcome in, dude. Like, you trying to get a film camera? And I was like, yeah, I don't really know what to get. And he's like, I just bought this store like 2 days ago. And he's like, it's been here for like 40 years and I bought it and I'm going to like revamp it and shit. And like, so he like showed me all these cameras. We talked for like hours. I ended up walking out with a Canon AE1, which is like the, perfect like starter film camera. And I went and took photos of my girlfriend like in Gilbert, Arizona. Like we went to dinner or whatever. And I was like, let's just take some photos by some flowers and shit,
It always starts with flowers.
Always, dude.
Love
What
the flowers, dude. We
It's
always
like,
start there.
Always flower or a brick wall, man. Those are the two, like, God, dude. And yeah, I got my first rollback. I dropped it off back to Nick at Wilson Camera. Got the film back and I was like, oh my God, this looks like what I try to make my photos look like for hours, but it's like done. It's like gorgeous, And I was hooked. And then, and I bought a bunch of film from him and I started doing all my fun shoots now on film. And that really like got me just so much back into it because I was always into photography. I always had my camera when I was like in high school and stuff. And I would take photos on my phone. I would never play games on it or call people or text people. I'd just use it for photos. And like, yeah, so I just started doing all my shoots on film and basically got that like love for it even more than I already did. And yeah, I just kept fucking grinding with it. That's when everything sort of just was like, I was just doing so much shit for free just because I just loved the rush of getting that film back, dude. It was like drugs. I was like, I'd never done drugs, but like that's what it felt like. I would just be like waiting. I'd be like, fuck, dude, I need more film. And yeah, so that's sort of where it took that turn. And that's when people were like, you need to start charging people to do this. And I was like, I guess I should, huh? And so started charging. Was
it conscious of like, this is the only route that I'm going to take now? Or were you like, okay, acting's already done. We knew that it ended, but it was like, okay, I'm going full in on this film photography thing. And we're going to see if I can make it work.
Well, yeah, at that time too, I was getting unemployment checks and this and that. And like, those were like, whatever. And my girlfriend, she was like, I remember what she said. I think we got in like a little argument one night or something. And she's like, you need to just like put your head down and fucking like just grind for like 4 months. And you'll know if you like love this or not, And so I was just like, okay, I'm going to just start reaching out to all of my friends or like little actor friends or any like connections that I have that need photography work, and just be like, what can I do for you? This and that. And so I was just doing like little shit, like little one-off, like album cover shoots for like a friend who like has like a SoundCloud song or something, and like he'd pay me like $200 and then like another person would pay me $200. And then like, before you know it, like I had rent and I was like, oh fuck, like I just got rent like off photography. Like that's pretty cool, And I was working, where was I working? I was, I think that was, I never worked a like regular quote unquote job after that. Like after getting laid off from that bar and then just going like nose deep into photography, I was like, I'm not going to apply for jobs. I was like, I'm just going to make this fucking work. Like if I just reach out enough, even if I do $1,100 jobs, like, or whatever, that's going to be money to pay rent and eat and shit and still be out here. So I just did that. And then, and yeah, I guess it just snowballed.
But giving yourself 4 months is so important. Like oftentimes people quit too early. Like they don't give themselves enough at bats to even see if it could work.
Yeah, no, totally.
So kudos to you.
Kudos to Liz.
Yeah.
and me. Yeah, and me. But yeah, no, she pushed me, which was nice. Need a little push sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Get off the horse and just dive into it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you deciding to go all in with film, like you found your style through that, right? And we talk about niching down, and I think it's pretty good, right?
Yeah, shit's
yeah.
good.
We
it is so good. Leisure is so good.
We're cutting that out until they cut another check.
Yeah. So okay, you really found your style when you decided to go.
This tastes like shit. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Let me see. Here we go. Third time's a charm.
Okay, go.
Here we go.
I'm ready. I'm locked in.
Dude, I might switch the question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm feeling that one.
You really found your style though when you decided to go all in with film. And we've talked about niching down, and I think our general advice is like when you're first starting out, try everything. And there is benefits to niching down because maybe you're not able to work with everybody, but you'll attract the clients that you want because you're shooting a specific style. Do you feel that going all in with film helped you land certain clients that maybe if you hadn't had a specific niche, you wouldn't have been able to land?
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of like at the beginning, a lot of the clients that were reaching out to me were like literally saying in the emails or to my face, like, we want to hire you because of your film. You know, they're like, we love the film vibe. Like, this is like, film is still obviously, and it will always be like very cool medium, and like brands will always use it occasionally or all the time. But I feel like 2 years ago, it was like
the boom of it all.
It was like so big. Like everyone was just like every brand campaign was like a film photo shoot, you know? It was like
I feel like the celebrities got in. You had like Devin Booker got one,
yeah.
Kendall having one.
Well, dude, Kendall went on what, Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah,
and
with
the
context.
Yeah, the context.
And it was like what, like $400, and now it's like $2,000.
Yeah,
crazy.
What did you get the G2 for?
G2, because the G2 has interchangeable lenses.
Oh, okay,
So
but you stick with a 35.
It doesn't have a 35 actually. It has I think it has a 16, and then a 28 and a 45 and a 90.
Oh, so you're switching between all these different lenses?
Yeah, they're all prime lenses.
Oh,
the G does, not the T?
Not the T. The T just has that little...
The 28 or the 35 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's 35 maybe. But yeah, I like 28 because I with fashion and stuff too, I can get a lot of like... I can get inside, you know, and shoot like a little tighter and get like more in there. But I have a 45 for it that I rarely put on it. But when I do, I'm like, oh my God, like it's like photography is so fun because you just change one little thing that you're not used to for a second. And you're like, oh... Like,
it's a completely different look.
Like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, this is crazy fun now.
I was hating this.
I was hating this for like 2 seconds there. And now I'm like loving it. No, but yeah. Yeah. What was the fucking question?
What did you ask?
Sorry. I'm going to listen back to this and be like, holy fuck. I need to take like Xanax or something like permanently.
I was going to say, no, I think you answered it. It was just getting certain opportunities because you shot specifically film.
Yeah, I did answer it.
Yeah. Dude.
You did.
I fucking did good on that.
Dude, we're podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
I feeling left out.
It's fine. You just didn't do that.
No, I know, but I wasn't going to get in on the 3 thing.
That's true.
Okay, so I asked, you can go now.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, you got it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
we're podcasting.
You also are doing a shoot with Stephon Diggs. Can you talk a little bit? Can you talk a little bit about this and what that's looking like?
Yes. Well, it's out. I've done 2 with him now. He has a brand called Liam Home. It's like a fashion brand. He's obviously, I feel like if you don't know Stephon Diggs, he's like a football player for the NFL.
Big into fashion,
but dude, I just said earlier how like I don't get starstruck, right? Like I don't get starstruck by like celebrities, models, whatever, any of that. But like I'm a fucking huge football fan. Like I got like my fantasy teams, like I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. And so his brother's on the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs. And yeah, I was like, I wasn't starstruck, but I was like fired up for this shoot because I was like, dude, this is dope. Like he's a fashionable dude. Like I feel like he's got a good vision and stuff.
Like, is your brother gonna be there?
Yeah, I was like, hey man, like, hey, where's your brother? Great photos, but like, where's your brother? No, I like Stephon Diggs too. I had him on my fantasy team. Like the year before we had this shoot, I was trying to think of a good way to be like, you know, like tell him that he was on my fantasy team, but I was like, whatever, I'm just going to keep it professional here. But no, yeah, the shoot was great. The first shoot was very like kind of random last minute, and his assistant or partner, I think, reached out to me through Instagram from the Reels, and she was like, we want to do this shoot for this fashion brand. That's all she said. So I was just like, okay, sure. I thought it was hers because she had like 300,000 followers or something. And I was like, oh.
This person from his team?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so basically like I just agreed to the shoot. You know, they accepted like the rates and the contracts and all that. And I got the call sheet for the shoot, and it said like Liam Home at the top, like a brand by Stephon Diggs. And I was like, I only know one Stephon Diggs. Like I was like, probably Stephon Diggs, whatever. And there's no way I'm not going to ask her and be like, so is this for like Stephon Diggs, like the football player? But anyway, I showed up to set.
Could you imagine? You said best Josh.
Yeah, is this so? Yeah, who's this for? Stephon Diggs, football player, fantasy star, Josh. Best Josh. But it was, and he was super dope. And the first shoot was sort of like they didn't really know what they really wanted quite yet. It was kind of just like, let's just shoot some stuff. So we shot at like this fucking. It was like this pier space in Burbank that was like, it's one of those places that has like 10 different sets. You know, it's like a ramen shop and like a bodega and then like a motel.
I think I shot at this exact place.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With like the street corner too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've shot here before.
So yeah, it was like, there was no story really. The photos were cool. Like we
just
got
in
good
this
stuff,
random
but
place.
it was like, we did photos in everything. So it was like, that was
like in an arcade. It's
like all of a sudden we're like in like a living room and then we're like having ramen and whatever. But basically, yeah, so that shoot was cool. And then he asked me to come do this other shoot, which was like way more like, you know, legit, like big call sheet, big like crew or whatnot. And then we did that in Joshua Tree like almost a month ago now. And it had a storyline, and it was about like this group of friends going out on like a road trip to like the middle of nowhere. And like, it was so sick. They had like a sweet Airbnb with like this old vintage like trailer, you know, and like a school bus, like just a random yellow school bus in the middle of the desert. So that gave us some great shots. And we went to a diner, and then like they were in this, they rented 2 cars up from LA that drove up there, like these old vintage cars, and like they were like driving in those, and it was just really cool and really fun. And like that was like the second time working together now, you know, and so like we kind of were able to like chop it up a little bit more and like had a good time. And yeah, those photos, the whole purpose of that shoot was obviously for that drop, but also they're doing a Vogue America feature. So hopefully in like a week, or maybe when this is out, there'll be like a Vogue article with that whole shoot in it.
Wow.
Which would be super sick.
And did you know that when you got hired that it was going to be in Vogue?
No, I knew that like an hour after getting to set.
She's like, I didn't even know who.
She was like,
I didn't know it was even for Stephon Diggs.
I was like, I thought I was shooting like child's like toys today or something. Like, no, but like, yeah, it was like an hour after I got there. She was like, she mentioned it so randomly. She was just like, I don't even know what she said, but she was just like, yeah, this will be for Vogue, I think. I don't know. I was like, Vogue, like America? And she's like, yeah, like Vogue America. They're doing like a feature for the brand for like Stephon. And I was like, oh, well, let's go fucking nuts now. Let's fucking go crazy. Like,
how big of a deal is that as a fashion photographer to make it into Vogue? Do you feel like it still holds the same weight that maybe it would have 30, 40 years ago before like the rise of social media?
Yeah. Yeah, at least for me, like I think still like the ultimate thing that like gets me so jazzed is not seeing like a post with like a fuck ton of engagement or like any of that. Like still to this day, like I don't care. The only reason I like that I have like a good following, not like a huge following, but like a decent for a photographer on Instagram, is just because it like brings me like some work, you know? Other than that, like I don't really give a shit. I love seeing my shit in the wild, like any like billboards, you know, like I have had 2 billboards in LA for the Social Tourist Hollister thing, which was like so fucking cool. And like I would just drive, I literally drove past like every day because I'm in Fairfax, like on my way home, and I would just drive past, be like pass it, be like,
I took that.
It was so cool. And then the one for Thomas Rhett in Times Square is like insane. I was planning on going and seeing it, but they didn't even like know when it was happening, and like one day it was just there and then it was gone. So I was like, damn. But
did you get a guy to send you a photo of it?
Yeah, I had a couple photos like sent to me, so I have it on here. But yeah, just like that shit, or Vogue, or like, you know, any big major publication, you know, so cool. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I remember just seeing shit like that. And still, when I do, I still see shit like that when I'm like, oh, dude, these photos are so cool. Like they're in Vogue. Like that's insane. Like, yeah. So
you also did New York Fashion Week this last year.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
maybe 3. Honestly, I didn't really do much there. I went with a model who hired me to go out there and shoot her. So it wasn't it for anything crazy, but it was a really cool experience, like being there.
But didn't you say you shot for, what is it, SMFK?
Oh yeah. But that was like not during Fashion Week. It was like a few weeks before. But yeah, that was a brand that's really big in China. They started, I think, a few years ago, but it's huge over there. Like they have like 20 stores or something, like in just like
In
one
China?
area. Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of like I can't compare it to anything because I just don't know like what to compare it to, but it's women's fashion. And they reached out to me through Instagram to do a shoot and produce. It was one of those where like they wanted me to like kind of produce it, like send them models that I liked and like this and that. And like the only person they really gave me was a hair and makeup lady who spoke Chinese so that she could be on like calls with them while we were shooting and be able to like talk. That was the only person that like they, sent or whatever. But yeah, we did one in New York and Joshua Tree, and the New York one was like
Longest week of your life.
it was so long, dude. It was because it was Joshua Tree, then New York, like back to back. So it was like, and it was 115 in Joshua Tree. That it was the middle of summer, and they didn't know that because they're from China, right? So they're like, Joshua Tree, like that's perfect. Like, let's go there. Like that's where we want to go. And I was like, no. And we go there, hot as fuck all day. Like models are dying. Like the AC had barely any, like the Airbnb had barely any AC.
Oh god.
I was like having like a fucking like meltdown, like panic attack when I got there because like I had realized how much I really had to do for this shoot and how many looks they wanted to shoot and like how I needed to like direct, like think of locations, think of everything, shoot it, like talk to them, and then they would like have to approve hair and makeup and like send a photo to China and they have to approve it and we have to wait. And
this was on film or digital?
This was on digital,
Okay.
which was nice. So I could just like kind of spray and just like and then like the day after they flew me to New York to do the same thing there with 3 models in New York the same exact way.
Wow. More run and gun in New York, or were you
run and gun, dude.
Okay,
like,
so you weren't having to deal with getting all of this gear.
No, bro. Like
okay,
it
just
was,
the camera.
That was the only good, like decent part. But still, like it was like we had a studio that they used as a base camp, to change and shit in, and then they were just like, we want, because of these brands that are based not in America, they want, the reason they're shooting in New York is because they want it to look like New York, right? My style is like, I want to avoid fucking like Hollywood Boulevard or like the
Times
fucking
Square.
Empire State Building or Times Square. They're like, we want the Empire State Building in the photo, like this and that. And I'm like, like in my soul, I'm like, oh God, I'm like that guy out there, like shooting like these models in front of like these like tall buildings and stuff. And like, so yeah, that part kind of sucks sometimes as a photographer, when you have direction that you don't love, but just got to go with the flow. But yeah, it was a long week, dude. It was like, that was gnarly.
I just think it's so cool that you're getting reached out to from brands all over the world. Like
that's because of the internet.
When
like,
we talk about you never know who's going to see your work, it's not just Jimmy down the street or someone in another state. It's like out of country. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You're going across to these different states days apart.
Dude, yeah. Like I had a
getting paid to do what you want to do. I mean,
right?
It's insane.
That was
Pizza
my
rolls,
goal for last
pizza rolls, Fortnite,
traveling.
Unreal.
My life's fucking awesome. No, but yeah, like one more thing about that was like I had a lady reach out to me from London who owns a bridal company. Like they make like bridal dresses and stuff and like wedding gowns and wedding dresses and shit. And not a big brand, like it's kind of just her personal brand. I don't know where like she has her budgeting from or whatnot, or if I think the brand is pretty good out there, but she just emailed me and she was like, I want you to do a shoot for this bridal thing. I'm like, okay, she's probably gonna send dresses here. We're gonna like, plan a shoot, yada, yada. And she was like, I want to do it in London. And I was like, oh, okay. She's like, in like a week or two. And I was like, okay. She's like, I'm gonna book you a flight. And she just like books me a flight and my girlfriend. Well, actually, no, sorry. I booked my girlfriend a flight because I was like, let's just go to London. Like I'm getting a free flight. We'll just, split yours. I'll just get yours. We'll just go to London. It was a 1-day shoot. And then we just made like a little trip out of it. And it's like, that's the cool shit that I love about this job is like, you can kind of not finesse, but like you can make it's your own schedule, right? So it's like, if you get flown somewhere to do a shoot and you want to stay a few extra days, like that's a great way to, you can also get more work while you're out there. Like that's been my thing is like, I really want to go to Europe this summer. I mean, we're already like kind of in summer now, but like some point I want to go to Europe for like a month and just like from now until then, just reach out to a bunch of brands out there and just be like, let's set up a shoot, and like try to get like one a week, and the other 5 days of the week, just fucking be in Europe and just have fun. And then make money and work still and shoot in Europe, make cool photos, and it's like you're killing two birds with one stone here.
That's the vibe.
Yeah.
I got hit up to do something in Toronto in August. It's just one day, and I was like, let me just go out there for like a weekend or 4 days, and like you do one, you get a free flight and one hotel, and it's like you can cover the rest easily, and like you're coming to like you get most of the trip paid for, and you're coming out positive.
Still on top. Yeah. I mean,
great.
how can you? Yeah, I can't sit here and complain about basically anything.
Do you think you're gonna come out on top from a week in Vegas that you're about to step into?
Yeah, dude. I know. I just talked about that 115 in Joshua Tree and how horrible that was. The only difference is that this is for Tillys, so super fucking sick. But they're, it's like a real team, real shoot. Like I'm hoping there's some like
shade
fans, some shades, some
Easy
misters
ups.
maybe. Yeah, a couple
You need
easy ups.
you need a guy with
That's
an
what
umbrella.
I'm saying, dude. I'm like, dude, I will fight one of you guys out there with me if you want to hold an umbrella or somebody, dude. I don't care who.
I'm
We
free.
can make that work.
You're like, oh, don't tempt me with a good time. Yeah, I'm going tomorrow. No, in 2 days, and
It's on the Speedway.
yeah, we're shooting on the
So
Las
sick.
Vegas International Speedway.
Oh, it's gonna be hotter than
Dude,
shit.
yeah, 20
on that
degrees hotter.
Oh my
Black
god.
tarmac or
Oh.
tarmac or whatever. Luckily, we're only shooting on the speedway for like 3 hours from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Oh, okay, so
it'll be
you're
like
getting
90s,
early.
Still 90s at like 7 a.m. But then we're shooting in a garage mechanic NASCAR garage for like the rest of the thing because they're doing a collab with NASCAR. So that's
Film
and digital.
Okay, a little split.
Yeah, splits of both. Super pumped for that, and they're super chill. Like the lady was like, "When do you want to fly out there?" Like we're gonna fly the day before. Most of us are flying out at like 6 p.m. Getting there at like 7, and like 7 a.m. call time. And I was like, I like to like unwind personally when I travel somewhere before a shoot. I don't like to like get there and then fucking have to go to sleep and wake up and shoot. Like it just stresses me out. So I was like, honestly, can you send me there at like 11 a.m.? So I'm going there at like 11. I'll just be like,
The pool.
I'm just gonna go to the pool for like 4 hours and
Gamble.
no.
Put it on black. Come on. Put
I
the
do
fee
wanna,
on black.
Yeah. Put
Dude,
your rate.
don't ask me why I was like in bed the other night and I was just like thinking of things like that. I was like,
I could double
dude,
my rate.
how sick would it be though if I just threw all of it on red or black and it hits? Oh my god!
I'm going in 2 weeks, and they give us per diem, right? For like, for food or
To
whatever.
Vegas?
Yeah, oh yeah. In 2 weeks. No, actually, I'm going next week. Next week, I'm going for a week for like
Oh,
shooting.
hell yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm-
for the summer
summer league, yeah. So we're
nice.
gonna get some per diem, and I'm thinking. So the last few years, I got to tell you guys this. Okay, the last few years, the first year that I went, I lost like $1,000 in like 20 minutes, and it was
dude, that hurts.
no, it hurts, right? I had
Yeah.
$100 left, and I went and battled that last night, and I came out with $1,100, and I left a king.
Wow.
The next year, next year, I won $700.
Sketch.
I know, super sketch, but I went and battled with that $100.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking of just really going out with a bang and putting it all. I joke with people. I'm like, we're gonna put it on black, and I think I need to just actually say I need to do it.
Dude, I
need to do it.
I see so many videos on my TikTok of like these people doing this exact shit.
I did it on a
And
boys
it's
trip.
tempting.
I did it on a boys trip. Like in college, we went. There was 6 of us. We put $600 on black. We each put $100, and it went viral on TikTok. It went crazy because David Dobrik was doing the things where they'd go with the 5 or the 10K.
Right.
We go with our $600. We're like, green. I'm like, what? And the guy's like, you lost. And I'm like, this is bullshit. And that's how we started the boys trip. So
Oh, dude.
that wasn't a good
Yeah.
example, but I think that I need to go out with a bang.
Yes,
Right when I get there,
yes.
I just need to walk up.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Black.
No, you have to have the confidence. I feel like that's the table knows.
I think it does, right? If you're scared,
Oh,
money
the
don't make
table
scared
knows.
money don't make money.
Exactly. I feel like you just got to go in there fucking balls deep and
And just boom,
Yeah.
put it all on it.
yeah.
Well, dude, I hope you can stay
Yeah.
under some shade and stay cool out in Vegas. It's really fucking cool to see and hear about all the cool stuff you've been doing because we've been friends for a while now, and I feel like when we first met, me and you were both trying to figure it out. And not to say we have everything figured out, but it's cool to see like you doing what you're doing. You're having photos in Vogue and doing these major campaigns.
Thank
like
you, man.
It's so fucking
Thank you.
cool. So
Thank
just
you
want to
so
say I'm
much.
very proud of you. Is there anything you're looking to improve on as a photographer or artist in the next 6 to 12 months, or something that you hope to, work on or accomplish?
I've always said like my next because I like to set goals, like not big goals, but micro goals, along the way. And I think like in the next 6 months to a year, I want to shoot for like a very high fashion brand, like Prada or Gucci, and I want to shoot like in my style. You know what I mean? Like I've always said, my dream shoot is like to shoot. This isn't my dream shoot exactly, but like this is the idea. Is like something just so fucking weird, like The Rock on fucking like ice skates in like a fucking ice rink or something on ice skates, wearing like a fucking like sick like Gucci thing, and it's just like sick lighting, and it's just super editorial, but like still has like so much character, you know, and shit. Like for like Gucci or like for Prada or like Louis Vuitton or some shit like that. Yeah, so I want to do something like where I have a little bit of creative direction for a very like high fashion
for
brand.
Some ice skating,
for some beautiful figure skating rock.
Could have been for the Olympics, dude.
Right?
Yeah, get you out
one
there.
more month.
LVMH is giving out the that could be you. You could photograph that. You seen this?
No, what is
They're
it?
giving out the box with the medals is in a Louis Vuitton little
Oh,
trunk,
no shit,
little
really?
trunk situation.
Damn.
That could be you.
I'll be an Olympian then.
Yeah.
It's way easier.
Yeah.
Dude, it's never too late to start. You changed once.
Yeah,
you can change again.
Yeah,
I've always
that's
wanted-
way easier than photography.
We should pick a sport. What do you think we could go in on as a sport, the three of us? Bobsledding?
Literally just gonna
That's
say that.
it.
That was
Yeah.
I feel like we
Are
could
you
do
in
that.
the front? Are you pushing? Like,
I
what
think
are you?
I feel like he's not gonna push.
Yeah, no.
I feel like I
he's
could-
gonna sit in the front.
I feel like you could be
Who the
our
fuck's gonna
anchor, and maybe I start us off because I'm really fast.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll steer.
And he
Yeah,
steers.
exactly,
I
you
like
steer.
that. Now,
So I'm in the middle basically. Is that
Okay.
what you're saying?
okay.
I'm front.
Front, middle.
Cool.
We gotta
Nice.
you gotta hold us down.
Yeah.
We need
And
a
then-
fourth though, right? Isn't it 4?
Yeah, it is 4.
Okay.
But
Chase.
we
We could
don't
throw
need
it-
a fourth. We don't have
Tall guy. I
Too
don't know.
tall.
I think we need a smaller fella.
Sorry, Chase.
We need a smaller rock.
We need a tiny.
We'll look out.
We'll
We'll be
look
on the
around.
lookout.
We'll look around.
Leave
Yeah.
a comment
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
if
that's a great
you're
idea.
under 5'10".
looking to join the bobsledding team. Josh is looking to make another career pivot.
I'm thinking about it. Josh, if you could wrap us up with some advice to your 18-year-old self, what would you say if you could go back and chat with your 18-year-old self?
It would be to just make and share anything that you enjoy. To not look at anybody else's work, I guess, as comparison, I guess, like to share what you like to make. I don't know, this is hard, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I feel like you get so bogged down with like all the social media shit and stuff that you're just like, I don't know, I'm not going to post it. Like, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like, it's just like, there's never like a right time to like post anything, you know? It's just like, just fucking share everything. And like, but honestly, that's a hard question always for me to answer, because my 18-year-old self, I feel like I'm not trying to like be boastful or anything, but I feel like I had a pretty decent head on my shoulders, and I was out here for acting at the time, you know, and my family is so supportive and like has always been there for me. And like, you know, I've had really good friends that have like lifted me up, and just literally everybody in my life has been so supportive and like just kind of been like, just do this. You're good at it. Whatever I want to do, they're like, you're good at that. Just do it. And so that's what I would say. Just have self-confidence and just be like, just know you're good at it and to do it.
Just go for it, baby.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you so much for coming on the pod. If you're still here, please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you guys all next week. Peace.
Peace.